Dear Mr. González, welcome at Reuters Timo Studios in London. On behalf of the European and its subscribers, it gives me a great pleasure to present you with both of your awards.
Well, thank you very much, Angelos, and on behalf of all of us at YPF, I'd like to thank the European and its subscribers for this award. It means a lot to us, and we'll make sure that we continue to serve in the future. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure. Congratulations.
YPF is an integrated and competitive company with a clear national identity in Argentina. It's also committed to creating long-term sustainable value for its shareholders, whilst also protecting the environment and meeting the health and safety needs of its employees. Small wonder, therefore, that YPF has been awarded Leading Company in Investor Relations and Leading Company in Sustainability. And I'm delighted to say that I'm joined in the studio by the YPF CFO, Daniel González. Daniel, a very good day to you. Thank you so much for coming in. There's plenty to talk about with the now and indeed the future, but I want to start by looking at YPF's past because it has an interesting and indeed very rich history, doesn't it?
It is indeed. Thank you, Juliet. Well, this is a 98-year-old company that was created in Argentina to start developing oil in the beginning of last century. It has gone through different ownership changes over the last few years, and we are the largest energy company in Argentina, fully integrated, as you said. We're very, very satisfied, very happy with the company that we have created so far.
So you're clearly doing something right. And in terms of changes, there have been some changes very recently in the management. Give us an idea about what these changes are and why they're a positive for the company.
Sure. Well, our board of directors has recently prompted the creation of an executive committee formed by the business heads of our different business segments, plus the head of corporate, myself, and the head of a new position called transformation that will have responsibility across the different organizations within the company. I think it's a great step that was taken. In addition to that, we have a new head of our most important division, the E&P, the individual that has led our efforts in developing oil and gas, or shale oil and gas, has done a terrific job. Now is taking full responsibility for all of our E&P operations. So we like the idea of having this small committee. We used to be 11 people reporting to the CEO. It's kind of crowded. I think we have all the right people with all the right skill sets. So we very happy and looking forward for this executive committee to work well and very closely with the chairman of the board.
Small is beautiful.
It is.
Let's take a look now at domestic oil prices, because in Argentina they are converging with international prices, and obviously this is going to have a huge impact on fuel prices generally. So given all these changes which have been taking place in the company, how prepared do you think YPF is for this new environment? Do you think that you're sufficiently well positioned to ride these price changes?
Well, first, let me tell you that we believe that one of the best things going on in Argentina is the normalization of prices generally across different sectors of the economy and specifically in the energy sector. So for a company which is deemed to be very competitive, as we are, competing with completely liberalized prices is a good thing. We're happy about that. I believe that that convergence of local crude oil prices with international prices is almost there. We are less than 5% away. And therefore, when that full convergence occurs, we don't think that it will have any meaningful effect in the price of fuels locally. We do believe that we will have a much more competitive market going forward. We are preparing ourselves for that market. We command 50% plus market share in Argentina, and I think that we are uniquely prepared to face those challenges going forward.
Okay, so good times ahead there. Now, I have it on good authority that about 80% of your production is coming from conventional activity, so to speak. Some of them indeed very, very mature. So how do you visualize conventional production evolving in the years to come? Where do you think you'll be?
Well, you evidently have good sources. Those numbers are about right, and it's good you ask me that because most people focus just on the unconventionals, which is, of course, the rosy part of the story. But the bread and butter for us continues to be the conventional production, which has very steep decline rates. Of course, they are very mature fields, those that we operate in Argentina. We are not just sitting there doing nothing. We're putting a lot of money to fight that natural decline, and we have been able to keep it approximately flat in the last few years. And that is pretty much the objective going forward. Secondary recovery is a good part of our oil operations in Argentina. We are finalizing a pilot project for what's called EOR, tertiary recovery, and hopefully we'll start the massive deployment of tertiary going forward. So there's a lot of things that we can do to fight that decline and to make sure that we continue to produce oil and gas efficiently out of Argentina different basins and not just the shale.
And I'm glad you've mentioned that word shale, the S word, because when you talk about gas and oil, that's one of the big dynamics in the whole story. And I'd like to know about your shale operations in Vaca Muerta. What are your plans for them? And more specifically, what can you do to make sure that the labour costs there are very competitive?
Well, the plans clearly are to continue to grow sustainably, to grow with partners. We have signed JVs with the likes of Shell, Schlumberger, recently Statoil, with the objective of accelerating the development of shale oil and gas in Argentina, which we have been leading so far, and we will continue to lead in the future. Clearly, labor cost is an important component of our cost structure. We signed a very important agreement with the labor unions and with different governments, federal and provincial, to reduce some of the labor costs, or to make it more productive going forward. I think it was a good sign of maturity from all parties to understand that the resources are there, but we need to make sure that we make those resources economic in order to be developed. So everybody is pitching in, everybody is contributing. Union leaders have been very constructive, so we are very confident that we will continue to reduce, as we have been doing, the overall cost of doing business in Argentina, the overall cost of development of the shale, and among those cost drivers is clearly labor cost.
But clearly you're doing something right, because, it's culminated in these awards, which I referred to in my introduction. Just to remind people that you've been awarded Leading Company in Investor Relations and also Leading Company in Sustainability, both in Argentina. So how would you define the importance of those two roles within the company?
Well, they're extremely important. YPF has been a publicly traded company for almost 25 years, listed on the NYSE and in Buenos Aires. So relationship with our shareholder base and with our prospective shareholders is key to us. We're always making a lot of efforts in keeping that relationship close. Actually, we're going to be doing an Investor Day in New York in late October to unveil our plan for the next few years. So investor relations, very important to us. Sustainability as well. We have a manager recently appointed head of sustainability. Everything that we do it thinking in being sustainable, not just for the next 5 years, but the next 50, next 98 years, hopefully. Part of our efforts have been centered in reducing CO2 emissions. We have a plan of reducing CO2 emissions by 10% for the next 5 years. Also, we have been focusing on improving the energy efficiency of our operations. We are the largest buyers or consumers of power in Argentina. And the third line of work, I would say, is increasing the weight of the renewable energy. We plan to have at least 20% of our energy coming from renewable sources in the next couple of years. So again, sustainability, very important for us.
Okay, looking ahead to the future, and that's where I'd like to stay, because you're working on a new strategic 5-year business plan. So can you tell us about this plan, and does it mean a discernible change in strategy going forward?
Well, I cannot say much about the plan right now because it has not been approved by the board. It will happen the first week of October. And I'd like to keep the surprise for that Investor Day in New York. But what I can say is that the plan would provide for meaningful growth in production going forward, and again, with a focus in sustainability, with a focus in capital discipline, and making sure that the company is not over-levered, and with growth coming, as I said earlier, from the unconventionals, but without keeping an eye off the conventional production, which is so important to us. So, competitive market in the next 5 years, a lot of changes ahead of us. We just want to make sure that we have a plan that positions us properly to face those challenges going forward.
All right, so if you want to know more, go to New York in October.
October 25th on the NYSE, yes.
Okay then, that's great. Daniel González, thank you so much for joining us and congratulations on your awards.
Thank you very much, Julia.
Thank you.